Okay, I think we're live. All right, we're live. Let me send out some links. Just to remind people we're still live. Because I said I was going to be on all the time, and I wasn't here for a week, so I get it. I fucking get it. Must be using up a hell of a lot of bandwidth. That's very possible. Because it's taking forever for this thing to load. Okay. Share. Copy link. Okay. Just get this going. Okay. I posted everywhere I could. How's it going, guys? Smells like Wrasslin. I think this is episode 93 or 94. I can't remember. It's 94. Holy crap. So we're getting there. We're getting close to that big 100. What I'm going to do for it to commemorate it, I have no idea. But it's been a week since we talked. I think the last time we chatted was, I think, after NXT. So No Mercy's happened, SmackDown's happened, Bash at Berlin has happened, AEW Dynamite is like a lot has happened. A lot has gone down. I watched the NXT pay-per-view. I thought it was excellent. They introduced Julia. I will say, like, I did have okay, so I mean it was an excellent show, but I wouldn't say it was without flaw. I thought the Wendy Chu match was awful. I really liked that. I think it was the first match of the night. There's two guys from MSK. One guy was the NXT. I'm sorry, the TNA X Division champion. What the heck was his name? I had it here in my notes. Actually, no, that wasn't even the first match. I think the first match was the tag match with Nathan Frazier and Axiom defeated Chase U. At the end of that, there was a betrayal by Ridge Holland, and he basically took out Chase U. So I guess that's going to be a storyline. He laid out I think he laid out Andre Chase, and the dude was in like a freaking stretcher or whatever. Like, he was done. They did the stretcher job on him. It was a wrap. I thought that tag match was great. But the last couple of times I've watched, I've seen Chase U in the ring, and I really enjoy them. I think the gimmick's like okay. I think at the time they were pushing the girl in the group to fight Roxanne Perez, and I'm pretty sure like Roxanne Perez like beat her or whatever. That's what Zachary Wentz. Yeah, Zachary Wentz is the TNA X Division champion. He defeats Wesley. I thought it was cool. It was two very like two cruiserweights kind of going at it. And wow, I really can't reach that. Unreal. All right, I'll have to do the chat some other way, or it should show up on my whatever. But yeah, I'm between two cruiserweights. They're lightweight and they run around and they're extremely athletic. I saw the video montage of their history and stuff, and it's a very complicated history that they kind of played on. But you know, they did a good job of explaining like what the road has been for these two young men and how they got to this point. So I was like, all right, I feel caught up. Like, I know what the stakes are in this match. So I thought it was a really solid match. I liked it a lot. The Wendy Chu match, I'm not even gonna talk about. Just know that it was awful. Obafemi fighting Tony D'Angelo. I actually really liked that match. I thought it was just two big guys like throwing each other around. Like, yeah, Obafemi is like built and promoted as like a big guy. So, you kind of don't expect him to take bumps and get hit the way that he did. But Tony D'Angelo is like a big guy. Like that guy is like an all-American, collegiate wrestler. And he could definitely go. And he's like no slouch. Like dude is built like a freaking rhino. Um, so I thought it was a great match. I like when they let two big guys like really like throw each other around and get at it. Thought it was an excellent match. Obafemi comes away with the win and retains the North American title. Roxanne Perez defeated Jada Parker. I'm not sold on Roxanne Perez. Like they call her the prodigy, but every match I've seen her in, and I haven't seen many, so it's a small sample size. But every match I've seen her in, she's just been okay. Or she's the wrestler in the ring with someone trying to learn how to wrestle, but they're pushing them anyways. So I'm kind of I'm actually expecting if she's gonna, if the gimmick is she's the prodigy and she's all about like AJ and Punk and like whatever. I always thought AJ Lee was just okay. The only reason she really stood out is because she was in a division full of piss poor women's wrestlers. So I'm waiting to see what's the big deal with Roxanne Perez. And I've seen Julia wrestle and she's excellent. So I'm curious to see how they're going to wrestle. I don't think that NXT and, the WWE, that their style is not that like Stardom, Joshi, like Marigold, hard hitting. Like they're not like they don't wrestle that way in NXT. And if you were to even just look at the roster and see how many of them could really go with a talent like Julia, not many. I would say, I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen that from any of the women yet. So, from what I understand, it looks like they're going to do Julia versus Roxanne Perez for the NXT title on their first night on, where are they going? They're going to Sci-Fi? They're going to USA? I forgot. NXT is going somewhere. Let me find out. NXT new channel. Oh, I think it's on USA. No, it's already on USA. The CW. There we go. So it's going to the CW. So they want to put on big matches so that they could draw eyes to the new channel. Because sometimes, a lot of times you lose, people get into a routine. They don't pay attention to the internet and shit. They forget to set their DVRs, blah, blah, blah. So, like, they're trying to make it as a memorable, promoting something that's memorable so more people could tune in. So I'm very excited for that. But yeah, like, I thought it was an okay match. Jada Parker is okay. Nothing blow away. I've seen better wrestling from women, honestly. And I've seen better wrestling, period. So, we'll see. What else? I think it was Ethan Page defeats Joe Hendry. Like I said, like when you watch NXT, when you watch WWE, like the storytelling and how they build their characters is very like it's very full. You know what I mean? Well, not all. Like I knew about Joe Hendry far before he showed up on NXT. I just thought it was like a funny gimmick. It wasn't a guy who like I really like took seriously. He's a solid wrestler and his gimmick is super over, and that's something that if he was in WWE, they could 100% market that, but he's in TNA. And to be honest, TNA needs a guy like that. Like they should be putting the world title on Joe Hendry because he's the guy that's on national television and no one else on TNA is except for Zachary Wentz and maybe Jordani Grace, and that's it. So I don't know what TNA's doing. They need to capitalize on this shit. Give me a second. So Yeah, I mean, he didn't win. There was no way in fuck they were gonna have a TNA guy be the NXT. Who thought that was out of their fucking mind? Ethan Pitt and man, that guy Trick Williams, like that dude is over. Like if they put him on the main roster, like strap the rocket to that guy. Honestly, like strap a rocket to him because he's like you need to start making some of these call ups from NXT and take them fucking seriously because they just come up and they just kind of like meander in like the lower and mid card. I mean, if what's his name? If Carmelo Hayes, like what they're doing with Carmelo Hayes right now, I really like. You know what I mean? He's putting on great matches with Andrade. It's nice to kind of see a series of matches between two great workers who could put on excellent matches. What I try and tell people about AEW, sometimes you just don't need any build. You already know a history of guy number 1 and guy number 2 as good wrestlers, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, we're going to put these two guys together and we're going to entertain you. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? I think I do think that the WWE does do a lot of rematches. You know what I mean? Like, how many times am I going to see Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair face, you know, like Alba Fire and whatever, and the other chick? Like, I've seen it like 4 times already. Like, enough, you know? So it's just like, for a roster that big, they just rehash a lot of shit over and over and over again. That's one thing I will give to AEW. Like, you don't really get to see any high profile, see very many like high profile rematches. I mean, they're there, but not as many. But like I said, like if they're gonna do a good series of matches, I'm all for it. If you're doing it just to fill up dead air time, like fuck off. Like I'm not gonna deal with this shit. But I thought the pay-per-view was solid. I'm still trying to get into like their weekly product. That Full Sail crowd really like irks me. It's just they're just such a clapping seal kind of crowd, and it just takes me out of all the wrestlers because they like you could tell that they're trained to get a reaction, but all their reactions are at Full Sail are kind of like manufactured. I liked that was just like that wasn't a Full Sail crowd, that was an NXT crowd, and those people popped off. Those people popped off for Trick Williams. I'm telling you about like the second his music started playing, people started going bananas. I kind of wish I was watching that storyline between him and Carmelo Hayes, because from what I hear, that was one of the better storylines that NXT has done, and obviously it's paid off because Trick Williams is over as fuck. So like, I don't know what he's doing in NXT. He's already won, you know, like the NXT title. So like, you know, like what else is there for him to do? Like you already got rid of Carmelo Hayes, so like what's going on? You know what I mean? Like let's like, but also you got to know where to put him. I mean, you can't bring him up unless you have a plan for him. So like a lot of times they're like, we don't have anything planned. I'm just like, but like you guys have stuff, like you guys have fucking dead air sometimes. There's just like matches that are like ridiculous shit, you know? I mean, I say this a little bit more about AEW than I do about WWE because like at least like when Alpha Academy, well, I mean like also like the whole deal with Alpha Academy and the Creed's like enough already. Enough, because now you have the Wyatts involved, you know, like are we gonna do like a 3-way match, but the Wyatts have nothing to do with the Wyatts have really nothing to do with Alpha Academy per se. So like I don't know, like I just like if you're gonna have Trick Williams come up, it should be something big. I wonder, has he been in the Royal Rumble before? If he hasn't, they should put him in the Royal Rumble and they should give him some shine. He should eliminate the first person that you think that he's going to potentially have a feud with when he comes to the main roster, honestly. Not The Miz. Fuck. Not The Miz. All right? Like, someone notable. You know what I mean? Maybe, like... If you want to have him come in as a heel, he's, like, eliminating someone like a Jey Uso. You know what I mean? Like, that's a guy, that's like a main guy, you know, in Raw. Like, he's like a centerpiece of that show. He still gets the biggest reactions. Like, the way that they position Jey Uso in Raw is second Jacob Fatu came on the scene, it was clear that he was the guy. I'm sorry. It was clear that he was the guy from the way that they've been booking him, from the way that the crowd reacts. He's the guy. He's the guy for the bloodline. Everyone knows that the money match right now is not Roman versus Solo. I'm sorry. It's not fucking Roman versus Solo. Roman versus Solo obviously has to, like, well, actually, no, Roman already beat Solo. So it's like, you know what I mean? Now Solo's going for the title. Like, enough Solo. I'm sorry. He was better as the silent enforcer. He was better when Heyman was his mouthpiece. But, I mean, they had nowhere else to go. They wanted to keep the bloodline storyline going on. They split up the Usos. Roman lost the belt. Who else were they going to turn? They couldn't have put it on the Tongans because they were a tag team. They hadn't signed Jacob Fatu yet. It had to be Solo. I think, honestly, it was just because of lack of options. The aesthetic in AEW is going to on the CW is going to change because Shawn Michaels said that they're going to be a touring brand now. So they're going to be in like arenas and shit like that. I'm actually very curious to see if NXT crowds bring in the same amount as AEW, because AEW crowds, they used to be like, they were bringing in like close to 10,000 in a lot of places, you know? They were in they had hit 20,000 in Arthur Ashe, what was it, like 3 years ago? Now they're doing like 2,000, 1,500 seat places. Their pay-per-views, they're doing big arenas, you know what I mean? They're setting up for like 8,000, 9,000. But I'm curious as to what NXT would do, because NXT has never been a touring brand ever. They've like on television, they do everything at Full Sail, and they will do their takeovers in other places. And they would do like tours, but non-televised. I saw one of those in Albany. That was actually the first live event that they did outside of Full Sail. I was there. It was at an armory in Albany, and it was excellent. That whole thing is going to change. So it's going to be very interesting to see what these people do in a non crowd. Because that's going to be that's like actual paying people, like paying customers, that like paying fans that you're getting to come out from their homes in different states and different areas and different markets. So, you know, like, they're not the people who, like, you know, Full Sail's the same people. And maybe a couple of fans, but normally it's the same fucking people over and over and over again. So, you know, I'm very curious to see how the crowd reactions are going to be. And you know what? It's good. NXT needs that. NXT needs that because then that tells Shawn Michaels the stuff that really is working and really is not working. And they could be a real brand. You know what I mean? I do think that NXT right now has better in-ring wrestling. Well, I don't know, man. Raw and SmackDown, the wrestling has been pretty great. You know what I mean? Like, that tag match between Street Profits and DIY on SmackDown just like a week or two ago was great. They just had a good match between Ilya and what was it, Dragon Lee, I think? I'm not sure, but like, Raw has had good matches, SmackDown has had good matches. I like the matches that I see on the NXT pay-per-views. There just hasn't really been anything blown away on their week to week. But, you know, I'm going to keep trying, because if their pay-per-views are good, then maybe like I got to see, like, because, you know, several years ago, you know, like WWE used to be this way where like their week to week was shit, but like their pay-per-views were like at least something. You know, like, I got conditioned a while back where I'm like, nothing's going to happen on Raw, nothing's going to happen on SmackDown. We're just going to wait for the pay-per-view. And then it got to the point where the pay-per-views were all screw jobs. So I was like, I can't watch the fucking pay-per-views either. So, and now I'm back into it. So, but like, I need to know whether or not NXT week to week is something I should take time out of my Tuesdays and 2 hours out of my Tuesdays and watch, after I take 2 hours for Dynamite on Wednesdays, 3 hours of Raw, and 2 hours for SmackDown. No, I am not watching Rampage, and I'm not watching Collision. Like, the way that they book those fucking shows, it's obvious they don't want me to watch it. Nothing storyline related goes on in those shows, and the matches, like, the matches I did, like, I could see the appeal, but it's never really with stars that make me really want to be invested in the match. Like, when was the last time? I can't remember the last time I saw Will Ospreay on Collision. You know, Swerve was on Collision like the week before All In. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, what are we doing here with this shit, you know? Like they need to make it worth my while. There needs to be storylines that that really go beyond like just, oh, they're two talented dudes having a match. There needs to be storylines that happen on Dynamite that continue on Collision and then get followed up with the following week on Dynamite. That's what episodic television is. You watch a show and then the next episode and then the next episode. So like, if you're going to tell me, hey, Collision is just another show where we do different things and it's not storyline related, like that's fine, but then you better put on better matches. You better put on better matches. Sorry, like the good matches are still only happening on Dynamite. Like this week we're getting Okada versus Kyle Fletcher. That should be a solid match. Is that on Collision? No. What do we have on Collision? I think we had like the Outriders versus Grizzled Young Veterans. Grizzled Young Veterans made their debut at All In. Why aren't they having a match on Dynamite? You know what I mean? Now, yeah, you can say like, oh, Eric, you just said, oh, we should have like a match, you've been saying we should have more serious matches on Collision, but they had it with the fucking Outrunners. You know what I mean? Even the Young Bucks didn't show up or FTR didn't show up, like, what the fuck is going on? You know, I just need more. Actually, no, I think they did have a confrontation later on in that show. So I don't know. Maybe I should go back and watch Collision. But like, that was it. Like, what else was going on? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck was going on? I don't know. All right. Anywho, let's talk about Bash in Berlin. Bash in Berlin, I felt was solid. Come on. Really? All right, so they had Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens. I felt like the storyline leading up to this match was really weak. You know what I mean? Like, they had, like, it was clear that they didn't really have a guy that they, like, a big, it's clear that they didn't have any other big stories for Cody outside of Roman Reigns, The Rock, and the Bloodline. Okay? So every single one of the guys that he's fought, it's really, who's he fought? He's fought Logan Paul. He fought Solo. He fought, who am I missing? He fought Solo. He fought Logan Paul. He fought Kevin Owens. Is this really only his third defense? I feel like I'm missing one. Because he fought Solo at SummerSlam. He fought Logan Paul, I think, at Money in the Bank. I think. But I don't know, like there hasn't really big, and like, this is the thing. Kevin Owens says he's a prize fighter, right? Okay. I feel like they really should have like made it about who is the best. Kevin Owens is a multiple time world champion. He's been a tag team champion. He's been a United States champion. I think he's a Grand Slam champion. You know what I mean? And right now, Cody is wearing the belt that says he's the best. So like, why was it about, oh, Kevin, you just gonna turn on me again? No, I'm not like that, dude. Oh, your knee's messed up. You really just kind of want to just make this match for whatever. You're trying to just do me a favor, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So, hold on. Sorry, guys. Anywho, so like it was weak, you know what I mean? Like it should have been Kevin Owens like, listen, like you're gonna give me this, like you should, like if I were to write that script and Cody's like, hey Kevin, I think you should have the shot, I would have been like, are you sure you really want to do that? And he's like, yeah, why wouldn't I? I'm just like, because like it should have been like, I am the better guy, like you're gonna lose this title, like challenging me, you know? Like it should have been about that. It should have been like, I'm the best, I'm a Grand Slam champion, you've only done this, like blah blah blah, like, you know, like the only people you really you defended against was like was Solo, but you had Roman's help, and then you beat Logan Paul, who's not really a wrestler, you know? Like that's the route I would have gone, you know? Like, and I don't think it would have made Kevin Owens out to be a heel. He would have made some good points, and he was having people cheer for him while on the pay-per-view anyways. So like I just think that it was a better storyline for them just to make up this like knee injury that Cody had while doing house shows. You know what I mean? Like I just didn't, it wasn't grabbing me. Like it wasn't a good enough storyline. And I really think there is some that they've been struggling with Cody. I think it's always been a thing for WWE. It's very tough for them to book a babyface and have them have like a long reign without it being like, I don't know, like without them recreating like Super Cena. You know what I mean? So I feel that they're just really struggling. Like there really hasn't been a compelling challenger for Cody. Now, has he been having bad matches? No, he hasn't. He's been having okay, solid to great matches. You know what I mean? But I just feel like they're just filling the calendar until The Rock, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be Rock versus Cody at Mania, and maybe Roman versus Solo at Mania also. That's what I think. I mean, they do need big matches for Rumble, and they do need big matches for Survivor Series. I don't think that they should do Cody and Solo again. I think it's over and done with. Gosh, who the fuck knows? I mean, they could do, I don't know, they could pull an AEW and have an existing champ challenge a champ. I don't like it. Like they have Pac, who's 1/3 of the trios champs, fighting Will Ospreay for the international title. I'm like, why are two champions fighting one another? But whatever. But they could do that. He could fight LA, you know, it could be Cody versus LA Knight at Rumble. You know what I mean? Make it spicy and put both titles on the line, and then just, I don't know, have a screw job finish with The Rock or some shit. You know what I mean? I don't know. But like they need something more juicy for Cody, and it can't be Solo again. I'm sorry, it can't be Solo again. Solo had almost the entire bloodline out there with the exception of Jacob Fatu. All right? Then Roman came in and cleaned house. Like it's over. Solo, and then Roman. Wait, hold on. I don't think has Roman fought Solo at all? He hasn't, right? Roman hasn't fought Solo at all. So like that match gotta happen. You know? Right? Has it happened? Why do I feel like, why can't I remember this shit? I don't know. Let's double check this. No, it hasn't happened. No, this is fake. This has to be fake. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, like that match needs to happen. Maybe that can happen at Rumble. Maybe that can happen. It should probably happen at Survivor Series. You know what I mean? Um, it could happen on the debut episode of SmackDown on USA. They need big matches for that. You know what I mean? So a lot can happen when it comes to Cody, but like what they've been doing right now, it's like milk toast. You know what I mean? They had the strap match between Drew and Punk, And it was as violent as it should have been. That's what the match was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a violent grudge match between two dudes who hate each other. And it wasn't that. And well, actually, their first match was not like that. He got the bracelet back, like, you know what I mean? Like, finally, like, I mean, they still kept on with that shit on Raw. Like, thankfully, fucking Drew destroyed that shit and made Punk eat it. So, but they're gonna have another match again. I assume they're going to have it at Bad Blood. I would assume it's going to be Hell in a Cell. So I you know, I mean, I see a parallel. I mean, I'm obviously, it's just, I can't help it. The two biggest blood feuds that are going on right now in pro wrestling, or at least in like major pro wrestling, is Punk and Drew and Hangman and Swerve. And they're both having pop-off matches in some sort of steel. I mean, they haven't announced this yet, but my assumption is it's going to be Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood, Drew versus Punk. And we already know they're having a cage match with Swerve and Hangman at All Out. So, like, I just find it interesting that both of them are having their own, like, blow-offs and cage matches. But, yeah, the cage match is usually supposed to be like a feud ender. Like, this is when Hangman should beat Swerve, in my opinion. And in my opinion, Drew needs to beat Punk. Drew is going to be the guy in the company going forward. Punk is on, like, the sunset of his career. I wouldn't say the twilight. He's not that old. But his career is definitely sunsetting. You know what I mean? He's not wrestling on regular television. He's only wrestling on pay-per-views. He's only won one match since he's been in the WWE. So, like, they're definitely using him to put over other guys. It's time to put over Drew. You know what I mean? If you're not going to let Drew be the champion, the feather in his cap should be that he beat CM fucking Punk. Honestly, I feel like that's the best way to go. Then you could kind of work on Drew kind of sort of becoming face. And then he could challenge Gunther down the line, because I think Gunther should have the belt. I think Gunther should keep the belt through WrestleMania. 100%. I think the one thing that WWE does moderately well is having long heel title reigns. I think that you could cut a lot more corners with when booking a heel. So I just feel like it's easier for them booking wise, because they're gonna have to really put a lot of their creative weight into propping Cody up, because, like, I say this all the time. This is the shit that they were trying to avoid in AEW. Cody should have gone fucking heel. Cody is an excellent heel. Cody now never wants to go heel. I don't think he's ever going to go heel in the WWE. He didn't go heel in AEW. And let's look at Roman Reigns' career. Let's look at fucking Hulk Hogan's career. When these mega baby faces turn heel, it's good for business. Now, when you do it at a wrong time, like what they did with Stone Cold, then, yeah. But when you do it with the right person at the right time, it makes money. Cody, two things should have happened with Cody. Number one, Cody should have won the AEW title from Chris Jericho. That's number one. He was mega over as a babyface. Chris Jericho was a total heel. Cody deserved to have the belt and be a face in that company, but they were playing it way too fucking humble. They were playing it like Bryan Danielson humble. Then he was just like way too white meat babyface. Like, it was not working out. Like, the AEW crowd was not feeling it. He should have gone heel. He was an awesome heel on the indies. He was such a prick, such a dick. He should have brought that heel persona that he had in, like, the early BTE episodes, like how he would treat what's his name? Flip Gordon. That would have been great. It would have added depth to his character. He could have always, and I mean, people, Roman Reigns is more over now as a babyface than almost he was as a heel, because the heel journey he took was so memorable. To see someone peak at that level of heeldom, it makes the crowd want to see, like, oh, well, now they're kind of starting over as a babyface. They're still a big name, but like now they got to prove themselves as a babyface. You start that whole road to glory all over again and just ride that shit into the sunset. I just don't understand why they don't, like, why this isn't a formula. It's a proven formula. It fucking works. Orton is a face now. He was a face when he was against, he was a heel when he was in Evolution. He was a face when he got kicked out. He was a heel when he started doing the Legend Killer gimmick. He was a face when he came back, like, after, like, however long. He like, you know what I mean? Like, Orton's done it. Like, plenty of people have done it. Plenty of people can still do the Make-A-Wishes, can still do all the charity work, just like all these other guys have done. Roman Reigns was still fulfilling Make-A-Wishes, even though he was a diabolical heel. I just think it's an old trope that needs to die. I don't think it makes that person a company man or good for the business when they do that shit. I think they're honestly holding on to childish bullshit, honestly. Cody needs to go heel eventually. I'm sorry. He needs to go fucking heel eventually. I'm not saying now. I'm just saying that right now his reign is a little stale. They haven't really been doing any, like, big build-ups towards matches. I think maybe the only sort of, I think, as much as I hate to say, probably Logan Paul was the most interesting feud that he had, because we all knew he wasn't going to beat Solo. And Solo's stock was already diminishing before that Cody match because they introduced Jacob Fatu. So that's what I like, eventually, because what are you going to do when he doesn't have the title? He's just going to still be babyface Cody saying, what do you want to talk about? All this shit, you know? They're going to put him in the Jey Uso role. He comes out, he gets a pop for the crop, a pop from the crowd, and says a couple of catchphrases, has a mid-match to the end. You know what I mean? Like, they need to, like, this is what I'm saying. Like, I've never run a wrestling company. I've never worked in creative, but I am the person where I want to have a plan. And if I am working in a business that has live shows every week, no weeks off, no repeats, no, like, it's just, I have to have new material each week, and I can't stack recordings. Anybody who I say I'm going to have plans for, I'm having a minimum of 16 months of plans for them. Meaningful plans. Everybody in the WWE should have, like, you know what I mean? Like, their stories or what they're doing on television should have some long-term, drawn-out planning. Because if not, what do you end up doing? You just end up treading water creatively. I mean, Vince was a master at that, and a master not in a good way. All right? That dude was treading water creatively for years, just putting on bullshit, and there was only one storyline that mattered. AEW was like stone's throw away from it, and until maybe like the lead up to All In. You know what I mean? Because they were only really pushing like one storyline at a time. You know what I mean? And that was pretty evident during like the MJF era. There really wasn't much going on outside of MJF. It just seemed like that was when they just started phoning in Dynamites. And like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the reason why the crowd ran off from Dynamite, it wasn't all CM Punk. I mean, yeah, that was a bad look for the company. Yeah, because wrestling is so tribalistic. Like, it just split the fandom between pro-punk and anti-punk. And it split AEW's crowd base in fucking half. Those guys were getting like over 1 million. Now they get like 600,000-700,000. You know what I mean? Like, it fractured their fan base dramatically. Whatever else they lost, it was people like me who were like, there's no real juicy storylines, and the matches are all just okay matches. Like, I don't really need to watch. You know what I mean? Like, that's who they lost. Like, people like me. I still watch Dynamite every week, but like, I remember I was way more attentive to it in the earlier days, and now I'm just like, all right, this one I could skip. All right, this one isn't really going to be good. All right, they put a massive commercial break into this one, so it's obvious they don't care. You know, like, we knew it became, like, AEW became predictable. That's what ended up happening. And the fans of AEW, they're smart enough to know when they have the potential to do better matches and better storylines, and we all know it now. We all know it now. And we won't accept anything less. And that roster is too talented. And it's the same thing with WWE. Their roster is way too talented. Now their roster is getting a lot of shine. You know what I mean? Like, now, like, they're wrestling, like, good matches and shit, you know? Like, Ilya Dragunov and Gunther and Pete Dunne and a lot of these guys on Raw, they're going out there. Sheamus. A lot of these guys are going on and they're going out there and they're putting good matches. Like, even Rey Mysterio is still, like, for the most part, like, being able to go. You know, some of the guys from LWO, they could wrestle. Some of the guys from, I'm trying to remember if Legado del Fantasma is on SmackDown or Raw. I think they're on SmackDown. But, like, you know, like I said, like, there's a solid enough mid-card that, like, between hour 1 and hour 3, you could really fill it with some great stuff. Because usually they reserve hour 1 and hour 3 for, like, the major storylines. Because they want to keep people invested and they want something for people to look forward to after the show. The middle of the show, that, like, hour 2 is just the peanut butter to try and keep those two pieces of bread together. And really, it's like hit or miss whether or not people are like, I'm not sitting through this hour. I'll just catch the rest online. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Let's, Raw happened. They had, Rhea Ripley came out, you know, they're going to do the mixed tag match. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, I still think that Damian Priest, I feel like, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I think you need to keep putting the camera. I think he needs to have a lot of time in front of the camera, especially in those backstage segments. I think he's getting a lot better at them than he was in the beginning of his title reign when he started talking, because the real mouthpiece of the Judgment Day was like Edge first, and then it was really Finn Balor, you know what I mean? And then they started kind of pushing Damian Priest a little bit. And then, like, in his championship reign, he obviously had to be on the mic and he had to cut promos and stuff like that. So he's not great, but I just got this feeling while watching him that he has the potential to be better as long as they keep him on television and let him get used to being on camera and having promos and being in front of the crowd and a mic in his hand. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they need to give him that, and then he could get to a point where he could be a very polished, well-rounded wrestler. I mean, he's good in the ring and he's serviceable on the mic, but he could definitely be way better on the mic. And I think that's like total package for him. I think that's a fucking grand slam for the WWE to get a guy like that. But you know, this storyline is whatever, you know what I mean? Like, the Judgment Day breaking up was interesting because here's the thing. What I'm waiting for is Damian Priest versus Finn Balor. But he's now just focused on helping out Rhea Ripley, getting her revenge and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, it was Finn Balor that screwed him out of the title. Why are you helping Rhea Ripley with her boyfriend problem? You know what I mean? Like, this is ridiculous, Damian. Like, you have to go after fucking Finn Balor and get fucking vengeance. So I don't know what's going on there. I thought it was going to be Finn versus Damian at Bad Blood. Maybe they're waiting to try and reserve it for Survivor Series. I do not think that they should prolong it all the way until Rumble, but it's very possible that they could do that because they have a stable of guys. You could do a couple of weeks with him and Dom, which I guess they're doing now. A couple of weeks with him and JD. A couple of weeks with him and Carlito. You know what I mean? Like, there's enough people in the Judgment Day to fill up fluff, but, like, Rumble is in January. We're in September right now. So it's October, November, December, January. Like, yeah, Rumble's around, like, January, February, right? It's, like, the first pay-per-view, the first big pay-per-view of the new year. So we're talking about 4 months. 4 weeks. Yeah, that's a lot of episodes. Like, that's a lot of episodes of Raw to kind of keep this thing floating along and keep people interested. You know what I mean? So, I mean, eventually you would definitely have to have Damian go through all of Judgment Day to get to Finn, who he's been trying to get to. And then once Finn is vanquished, then maybe if you're going to have Gunther have a long reign, guys who he's beaten in the past, you know, might want, like, for the IC title, he might have to face again for the world title. You know what I mean? So, Damian could go for his rematch. You know, Drew has lost to Gunther. Drew could go for it if he goes face. You know, there's a lot of things you could, you know, like there's a lot of things you could do with Damian. You know what I mean? I don't want him to have tag titles. He could go on a singles run and go after. Oh no, the IC title is being held by Braun Breaker, and I want him to have that title for a while. So, yeah, it looks like it's going to be him and Jey Uso, which should be a great match because it's a. Let me clarify that. It should be good for Braun Breaker to beat a guy like Jey Uso. Whether or not they're going to have a good match, I'm not sure. I mean, Jey Uso isn't a bad wrestler, but I'm telling you, the match that him and his brother had, like, I could fucking care less about it. It was just there. You know what I mean? So, and that I think really affected his push. Right now, they kind of have him in like upper mid card vortex kind of deal, and he just adds some legitimacy and credibility to certain matches, being that he's in it, and people love the whole Yeet thing. So, I see that happening that way. So I don't know. But like, I think that if you keep Damian on camera long enough, I think he's going to be a lot better than what he is right now. And I've seen the improvement. That's why I think that if given a little bit more time, he could really do something. They did a 6-person tag. Ivy Now and the Creed brothers beat Alpha Academy, which was Maxine Dupree, Otis, and Akira Tozawa. They've been doing this shit for like months. Like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, I almost honestly don't care who wins this feud overall. If what was it? American Made, is that what they're calling them? If American Made ends up winning out the feud in the end against Alpha Academy, then good, because I think American Made should be put over because I like the Creeds. They're new, they need the push. Maxine and Tozawa and Otis, they're going to be fine. They're a comedy act. It doesn't matter really what happens to them. And it's not like they're even putting them in the realm of any sort of meaningful title, so who fucking cares? American Made also, I think the American Made's more interesting feud is with the Wyatts, but the Wyatts already beat them on Raw. So it's like, what's the point? Like, why are they still fucking with them? You know what I mean? And Uncle Howdy beat Chad Gable one-on-one. So, like, there's nothing left for American Made to do with the Wyatts. Now they're going to do, like, from what I understand, but I don't know if that's going to happen, they might do a mixed tag match with all of American Made. No, they already did this already. I don't know, man. I don't know what the fuck's going on. But, like, the Wyatts, they're, like, there's a lot of acts that are over, and I feel like WWE's in the spot where they could do no wrong. Like, the crowd just likes these gimmicks that they're putting in front of them, and it doesn't necessarily matter if they win or lose, as long as they get to see them and do the song or do the dance or do the chant or hold up the lights or whatever. They're fucking satisfied, man. You know what I mean? So, like the Wyatts, they have a great gimmick. Like, I just feel like they need to do something with those fucking tag belts. That's what they need to do. These groups that have a lot of guys, they need to give them, like, they need to have a tag title tournament. The Judgment Day hasn't been doing shit. Have 2 guys from the Wyatts in that tournament. Have 2 guys from American Made in that tournament. Have 2 guys from fucking American Alpha in that. Are you kidding me? They have American. No, it's not American Alpha. The Alpha Academy. 2 guys from Alpha Academy. 2 guys from American Made. You know, like, there's plenty of fucking tag teams. Let's get a tag team tournament going so these groups have something to do, because right now they're just spitting in each other's mouths and it's getting fucking ridiculous. They need to shape it up. Goddamn. I'm definitely want to talk about this. Next match was Shayna Baszler defeats Zelina Vega. Okay. Shayna Baszler is awesome. Shayna Baszler needs to be a world champion. Shayna Baszler just, when her women's title reign in NXT was one of the best women's title reigns they ever had. Period. And that's better than any of the 4 horsewomen's title reigns. All of them. All of them. All right? That was it. She beat fucking everybody. Everybody. And it was great matches that she had with people. She had great matches with Athena. She had great matches with Bianca Belair. She had great matches. You know what I mean? Oh, I know. What do they call her? Not Athena. Ember Moon. Great matches. All right? I'm glad that she beat Zelina Vega. I know Zelina Vega goes online and she tries to get camera time. I'm sorry, but I don't want to see Zelina Vega on my television. Sorry. She's not my cup of tea in the ring. Nothing screams must-see TV with Zelina Vega. Not her presence, not her gimmick, not her promos, nothing. So there you go. I hope that Shayna, and also Shayna needs to get rid of this Pure Fusion Collective. Fuck off. Unless I would be okay with Pure Fusion. Number one, they need to change that name because it's a stupid fucking name. That's number one. Number two, that stable will work out if Shayna was the number one in that stable. I'm sorry. But Sonya Deville is useless. I couldn't care fucking less about Sonya Deville. And Zoe Stark, I still don't see the appeal yet. You know what I mean? If you want to put the two of them as Shayna's lackeys, cool, because that worked well for her in NXT. She had the other horsewoman that she had from MMA. She had Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke. And yeah. So that's what I think, because they're wasting Shayna Baszler right now. And I know Triple H knows that she has the talent because Triple H booked her that way in NXT. So I don't know what the fuck's going on. Punk came out. Fucking hate that dude, man. He was happy to be in Denver. Can't wait to get home to his wife and his fucking ugly fucking rat dog. He had to make a pit stop in Denver to celebrate. Blah blah blah. The strap match was one of the toughest matches he had. He said it was time to get down to business. He wasn't here to make friends. He was there to make money, which is really not. And they never pop. People don't pop for that. I don't understand why he's making that part of his gimmick, man. Who wants to hear their babyface say, "I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money"? But that's honestly Punk, and he's honestly a cunt. So there you go. The best part of this promo happened when Drew came out and beat the fucking shit out of him. They had to stretcher Punk out. Then he beat Punk up on the stretcher. Then he made him eat. He destroyed the bracelet. He made him eat the beads. He beat the shit out of him on the whatever. I think honestly it's to keep Punk off of television until Survivor Series or some shit. Because to be honest with you, I think that his body can't wrestle weekly. I'm sorry. You're not going to see him wrestle weekly. He's probably just going to be exclusively pay-per-view wrestling, and they're going to use him as a buy and a draw when he does his promos. Punk's the guy that people are like, oh, I can't wait to hear a Punk promo. And then all that is, man, I can't wait until he has a match, and then he has a match. That's pretty much it. Honestly. Like I said, he's at the twilight of his career. He's at the sunset of his career. I just don't think he's outside of the initial reaction that he gets. Outside of Drew, what's going to be left for him? You know what I mean? Honestly. Outside of Drew, what's going to be left for him? And I also think that he needs he's just, I just think that's it for Punk. I just think he's probably going to be in WWE for maybe another year. Maybe he's going to try and get listen, of course, every single time he comes back, they bring The Rock in. It's every single time the Knicks have a great team, there's a generational player that comes and keeps them from winning, like fucking Jordan or LeBron. Every single time Punk comes and he's almost about to get the main event, The Rock shows up. Punk will never get the main event of WrestleMania. He might get a co-main event, and I think that's what he's probably going to hold out for. That'll be the thing that he checks the box off of, that he finally got to have a WrestleMania moment or whatever. But otherwise, I think that's it. What else is to say? We got they did an IC title tournament triple threat. Ilya Dragunov beat Dominic Mysterio and Dragon Lee. Ilya Dragunov was fantastic. Dragon Lee is fantastic. This is the shit I'm talking about. This is great fucking wrestling in the middle of Raw. You know what I mean? So I dig it. Dominic Mysterio isn't bad in the ring. and he brings in personality and storyline into it, so it does add to the match and make it interesting, because you never know whether or not they're like, listen, Dom's a fucking weasel. He might actually go over and win in this match through some tomfoolery. So it added intrigue to the match. Ilya's been on a roll. They're definitely really high on Dragon Lee. It really could have gone either way. I thought it was a great match. And then, so Dragunov wins. He joins Jey Uso and Pete Dunne in the potential fatal four-way number one contenders match. So there was supposed to be one more match of the night. It was supposed to be Bronson Reed, Sheamus, and fuck. How did I forget the other guy? I totally fucking forgot what that triple threat was. So, they had Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill come in. They were watching the match to see who was going to be the number one contenders. It was Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. They defeat Io Sky and Kairi Sane. So we're getting them again. Like, this is like what I'm saying. Like, why? You know? I know they don't do rematch. I guess because I guess this is what's going to happen now, because they don't do rematch clauses anymore. Which means what's going to happen is the people who just had the title are going to be number one contenders, and they're going to put them in a match with somebody else to see who wins. Hold on a second. So I like, it's just like they're fighting each other like all fucking over again. I mean, listen, I don't like the idea of women's tag titles to begin with. I think that their singles division needs a lot more pep, and when you have people tied up in tag matches, I'm like, well, it just seems like a waste of time. So yeah. They had a Gunther and Sami Zayn segment. Sami's challenging for the title. Gunther's not really having it. It's obviously going to happen. An argument could be made that Sami shouldn't be challenging for the title because he just got fucking destroyed by Braun Breaker. But Sami's the only guy to beat Gunther outside of Ilya Dragunov and NXT. Because Gunther beat Pete Dunne for the NXT for the UK title and held on to that shit until Dragunov beat him. So Dragunov and Sami Zayn, that's it. So I'm assuming that those are going to be two guys that could say that they have a claim to fight Gunther, so that's what's going to happen. Yeah, man, in the scope of wrestling, yeah, if you're the guy that beat the champion, like, you could totally say, yeah, man, I'm coming for you. Like, I deserve a title shot. I beat you once before, especially when not many people could say that they beat him. Only one other guy, Ilya Dragunov, could say that. So, you know, I think that that's going to be a great match, honestly. Sami could take the loss. I know Sami's not going to win. I think it's a good match. It was Ludwig Kaiser. There we go. So IC title tournament, triple threat match. Braun Strowman defeats Ludwig Kaiser and Sheamus. I was shocked that Braun Strowman won this match. I could only assume it was because they had slated Bronson Reed to win the match. Braun Strowman was supposed to be out on an injury angle because he got tsunami through a car. But Bronson Reed has COVID, so he couldn't be on the show. So, I was shocked that I was shocked that Braun Strowman won the match. But hey, like, I don't think they knew how to book that fatal four-way without Bronson Reed in it. So, you know, they could still book it like, you know how they always book fatal four-ways? Whenever there's a big guy, all three of the people will gang up on the big guy. They'll take him out quick, and then they basically have a triple threat until the big guy comes back in. They could do that with Braun and just have him selling the injury as a reason why he was down and out for most of the match. So yeah, I guess it could work. You know what I mean? It still allows the big guy to stay strong, but it also gives the big guy an out to not be in the match the entire time. So I think that's all. I think that's probably how they're going to be booking it. I love Sheamus, man. Honestly, I don't know what it's been, but the last several years, I just feel like the matches he's put on have been incredible. The matches that he had with Drew, the matches that he had with Gunther, the matches that he's having with like Butch, Pete Dunne, Ilya Dragunov, like these guys in the mid card. It's great shit, man. I was worried when they were saying that Sheamus wasn't going to be able to come back because of like an injury to his back and he could possibly retire. I think he has like spinal stenosis. So his spine, if I understand that correctly, is slowly like the integrity of his spine is slowly, like degrading over time. So it's definitely like a ticking clock in his career. If I'm not mistaken, David Wright from the Mets had spinal stenosis, and that was pretty much a reason why he's not playing ball. So that's what I like. I think that I think he's been great. I think he's been great since coming back. I love Sheamus. Listen, he's had great music and they keep on fucking with it. Like this new music he has right now, I think is dog shit. Like his other two themes, like Too Many Limes and the fucking other one that he had, were great. You fight, and he's got Pat McAfee going Fight Night. He's got the Bangers thing. Sheamus is awesome. Like, good on Sheamus. I've liked him since he came into WWE and had a rocket and beat John Cena quick. I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. So that was great. Let's talk about some Dynamite, and then I'm gonna close out the show because my throat's fucking killing me. Dynamite, Moxley returns. It's obvious he's coming off very heelish. He says he came out to his New Japan music. He didn't come out to Wild Thing. So I'm assuming that like his Death Rider theme is going to be like his heel music, which I think is kind of cool. They're doing that with Hangman also. Hangman has a little bit more of a darker theme when he went heel compared to when he was face. So Moxley basically said that he was looking for a man that he has a lot of similarities with, but he wasn't here. Darby Allin, you and I need to have a conversation. It looks like Mox was going to walk off. He goes up to Shivani, takes the mic, and he goes, "This isn't your company anymore." Okay. So let's see. So he's looking for Darby, and he says this is not your company anymore. People are taking that as a potential for Sheamus. Sheamus. I'm losing my mind. Shane to be inputted into AEW television. I mean, listen. It could go either way, honestly. It could be a thing where the fans are going to be like, it's another WWE guy. How many of these people are going to, this WWE like blah, blah, blah. Some people could say that. Shane McMahon could be it could be that he could be better utilized in AEW because he has a longer leash with things he can say and things he could do. I don't think physically he's going to be in the ring. I think he should be an on-screen presence. They need an authority figure. You know what I mean? Because Tony Khan right now, because of all of the interactions that he has with people online, I think it's muddled the waters as him as an authority figure on television. I think he should take a step back. I think he should be someone that only shows up in the press conferences and only is talked about and is only heard of by name only and very rarely. Shane could be the on-screen authority keeping the inmates in the asylum on Dynamite and Collision. It's possible. But like if he's coming in with Mox and he's coming in as a heel, then they're not doing that. Shane is coming in for another reason. So we don't know that. Is Mox coming back and creating a new faction? Does that mean he's no longer with the Blackpool Combat Club? I'm not sure. It could go a lot of different ways. Either way, it's great to see Mox on television. AEW desperately needs guys like Mox who could put on great promos, could be put in great storylines, and can go in the ring. They are sorely missing guys like Adam Cole, Kenny Omega, Keith Lee, Jay White. They're missing. Like, people like talking about like, oh, like why is AEW this? Why is AEW that? AEW right now is like last season for the Jets, and they lost Aaron Rodgers off the grip. You know what I mean? They had a lot of hype. They had a lot of anticipation. And once a main guy got injured, that was it. It was a wrap. So like, that's what I feel like AEW is right now. They did some high quality trades and some great draft picks, and those guys got injured. That's a real damn shame. But because think about it this way, Collision is just dead air at this point. So all of these big name guys In my opinion, there's plenty of television time for them. Plenty of television time. What I need to see is good stories, because these guys are Picassos in the ring, man. They're fucking great. Just give a good storyline as the little cherry on top. That's all any wrestling fan ever wants. And I say this all the time. Professional wrestling is like if they made the movie Rocky an episodic television show. People love drama outside of the ring that adds to drama inside of the ring. All the drama outside of the ring is supposed to lead up to a confrontation in the ring, and then it's supposed to have a satisfying payoff. AEW does great in-ring work, but they need to work more on the creative build-up to that and in getting the fans more invested in the story and being consistent with that story and seeing it travel across their television properties to give people who are very narrative-driven like myself a reason to watch each week. Right now, like New Japan. New Japan, I don't watch for the storylines. New Japan, I can watch because I like seeing great technical professional wrestling. So when I see two guys together who are really talented, I know I'm going to be entertained solely on the match alone. And for me, that's okay. If they were a company that were known for great storylines, I would be expecting great storylines and wondering why I'm getting one thing and not the other. Now, great storylines that they had was like Kenny Omega versus Okada, stories with the early Bullet Club, like that was great too. But it was the payoff for New Japan for me was always the in-ring wrestling. It was always presented a little bit more as a sport, and I just enjoyed it better. I enjoyed the Japanese crowds. I enjoyed their style of wrestling. I enjoy strong style. In that bubble, it all fits for me. Okay? AEW, I expect great storytelling and great in-ring action. You want to know why? Because they've given it to me already. And they've given it to me they gave it to me on a very consistent basis. Up until maybe the last 16, you could even argue 24 months. So now, but like I said, back then, everyone was healthy. They had all the pieces. Majority of their guys are injured. Guys who you had literally built the company around. Guys who you literally built were going to take the company forward. A lot of the younger guys weren't ready. If these guys could get healthy, there's so much to do in AEW. They just need good storytelling. And these guys could take care of the rest in the ring. Honestly. The conglomeration was there. It's just, you know what I mean? Like, this is another thing where I say it's like dead air time. It's just like these guys fighting other guys. You know what I mean? Like, there's no real stakes. You're not really meant to take them seriously. It's more of like a comedy act, like where these are the guys who are supposed to go out there and have good party matches. Why don't we have great tag matches and have like Dark Order fight guys like Top Flight and start building up your tag division? Your tag division that half of the tag reigns have been teams that were made up of two singles guys that they were trying to think of that they were using as a platform to build up a singles feud. And then you had FTR and the Young Bucks. Who's the other? And the Guns. Oh, and SoCal Uncensored. So 4 tag teams, right? Otherwise, it was Ricky Starks, Big Bill, Hangman Adam Page, Kenny Omega, Swerve, Keith Lee. And now we got and the tag team champs right now are the Bucks, who haven't been doing shit with them. Let's start building the tag division. This was supposed to be the company that touted, we have the best tag team. We're going to do the best tag team wrestling in the world, right? You had the Lucha Brothers. What did we do with them? I mean, hey, okay. Let me scale back a little bit. Lucha Brothers had a great initial run. That tag match that they had with the Bucks in the cage at All Out a couple of years ago was one of the best tag matches I've ever seen. AEW has definitely put on fantastic tag team matches, but I feel like all right, the build-up for MJF and Will Ospreay. You knew it was good story, and you knew that they were great wrestlers. The same thing with Swerve and Danielson and a bunch of others. Ospreay and Omega, Takeshita and Omega. You know what I mean? Like, okay, right? Like, where was I fucking going with this? Oh yeah. I was talking about the tag division, right? Yeah, they should just be they need to start building up more tag teams. They weren't doing. Oh no, that's right. We were talking about we were talking about the conglomeration that you know what I mean? Like that's airtime that they could be using to build up tag teams so that guys like FTR and the Bucks had people to fight and lose the title against. What about Private Party? How about we push the Outrunners a little bit more? You have grizzled young veterans, you know what I mean? Motor City Machine Guns are out floating in the wind. AEW AEW has 5 hours of television. 5 hours of television. And none of that is to take tag team wrestling seriously. It's unbelievable. I expect better. Hangman Adam Page defeats Tomohiro Ishii. This match kind of worked. Like Ishii, I feel like is hit or miss for me in American television because I feel like when I watch him in New Japan in that bubble, he's great. When I see him do some of the stuff in New Japan and AEW, it feels kind of cringy to me. Like, I feel like if I had brought a friend in who wasn't watching, they'd be like, what the fuck is going on? Having said that, I feel like the match that he had with Hangman was pretty good because Ishii is pretty much marketed as an angry, strong style wrestler. Hangman is an angry cowboy. So it's two angry dudes who don't want to show pain, facing each other, duking it out, and fucking bumping meat. You know what I mean? So like it did kind of work in a way. Also, they had a great promo between Hangman and Swerve. It's fucking on between them. Now, someone will ask me, who's the face, who's the heel? I think Hangman's the face, man. I think a lot of people want to see Hangman win. A lot of people love this gimmick. They've been asking for this match, and we're getting it. He even showed up at the main event in All In. Like, they made a point to have Hangman out there. I honestly think that Hangman's going to win. He's the face in this situation. Swerve broke into his goddamn house and, was looking at his, kid and shit. And Swerve was the heel in the fucking Danielson match. He was literally stomping Danielson's head in front of his two kids and his wife. That's heel shit to me, man. That is 100% heel shit. So, yeah. Him and Hangman, cage match, all out. I can't wait, man. It's going to be fucking awesome. Hangman should win. It should blow off the feud. What they do with Hangman after that, honestly, you could have him go after the Continental title, and then we get Hangman versus Okada. And then that's how Okada loses. Come on, people. Come on, people. That could be a match for Full Gear. That could be a match for World's End. That could be a match for Revolution. It depends on how long you want to build up the match. But I'm telling you, after Hangman beats Swerve, here's what I always think. Once a guy goes and beats a guy in a big-time blood feud, the next thing for him isn't just to get into another blood feud. The next thing for him to get into is to be a title contender. So 100% Hangman should be. Maybe Hangman wants to go after Ospreay's title. I think there's more of a story for him going after Okada than there is for him going after Ospreay. I think Ospreay has other fish there's other guys that Ospreay could fight. Honestly. And one of them shouldn't be Pac. But we're getting that anyways. See, this is another thing where it's I know the match is going to be good, but I think just Pac getting a title match. Oh, no, wait a minute. Pac won a match and was owed a title match. Yeah. I mean, we all know Pac isn't going to win. The match should be good. Match should be great. And, Pac puts on great matches. So, could be that. Un momento, por favor. I say I'm on a podcast, and I say, I'll talk to you in a little bit, and they still send me shit. Unbelievable. Let's see. Swerve makes the challenge. Jamie Hayter defeats Harley Cameron. I mean, come on. I mean, listen, okay, Hayter needs a 2-night match. She beats somebody, whatever, but man. Can we talk about this women's division for a minute? Let's talk about the women's division for a minute. The women's division is a little bit of trouble because the people that you have who are supposed to be your faces are dog shit. I don't know what's going on with Britt. I'm really not interested in any of the backstage drama. I'm really not. I only care about what I see on television. And what I saw at All Out was not... All In was not the greatest. I think that it's not bad to say that maybe she should have a run in ROH and challenge Athena and put women over there. I think that she can still contribute to the business and not be on television. I think that this should be an era for Mariah May, Toni Storm, Jamie Hayter, Hikaru Shida, Serena Deeb. An argument could be made that Thunder Rosa should or shouldn't be on that list, really depending on who you're talking to. There's a lot of talented women's wrestlers, and I don't know why they keep the talented ones apart from the other talented ones. Like Athena right now is going on a crazy run with the ROH women's title. She's a great wrestler. They need to put her ass on Dynamite. Like this, that's why you need ratings. You know what I mean? The women could put on great matches. Like the match that Jamie Hayter and Hikaru Shida put on Dynamite. I will talk about this match till I'm blue in the face. It was one of the greatest women's matches I've ever seen, and it was one of the greatest matches in Dynamite history. It definitely goes up. It definitely belongs to be talked about in like the top 10 of Dynamite matches. All right, you have Mercedes Moné could be and Hikaru Shida. That should be an awesome match. I think their first match really wasn't that great, so I'm hoping that that was just ring rust on Moné's part, and this next match could be awesome. Mariah May versus like Jamie Hayter is going to be great. You could do Statlander versus Toni Storm. Like you could do Serena Deeb versus Athena. Like there are women there that could fucking wrestle. Like just give them good storylines and let them go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why is it always like, why am I seeing Saraya and Harley Cameron on my television? Harley Cameron can't wrestle. Saraya can't wrestle anymore. Why are they there? They have other women's wrestlers that they could put on there that would have been a great first return match for Jamie Hayter. People were excited for Jamie Hayter because she's a great character and she's phenomenal in the ring. Why would you rob me of an opportunity for Jamie Hayter's first match on television to be against Harley Cameron? What a wet fart of a match that is. She could have fought Serena Deeb. She could have fought Shida again. Shida's already tied up in like a number one contenders match. But like, you know what I mean? If they put Athena on TV, it could have been Athena. I know who's in, maybe Deonna Purrazzo. Somebody other than Harley Cameron. It's just a shame, man. It's really a shame. There's just plenty of potential there, and I just don't see it being utilized. Here's another dead waste of air. Chris Jericho and the Learning Tree. Enough. I love Jericho. He's on my top 5 greatest wrestlers of all time. He's great in the ring, and he's had some of the best gimmicks and best storylines in the history of this industry. Chris Jericho is a bona fide Hall of Famer, and he's owed his flowers, 100%. This storyline blows, bro. This gimmick sucks. Like, I think he needs to just leave, come back, haircut, 10, 15 pounds lighter, ready to go. Brings back the shiny vest. You know what I mean? But, like, this Learning Tree stuff's got to go, And Hook, he should have the FTW title and be defending that on fucking ROH television, man. I'm sorry. But he's not interesting of a character, and the FTW title is not interesting of a belt. It's only ever been held by people who had some sort of connection to Taz. I thought that's not what the fucking belt is supposed to be about. They're trying to tell me the belt's important. They don't book it important. It's a waste of dead air. Put a tag team divisions on there. Put the trios division on there. Put good women's wrestling on there. Put great men's singles wrestling on there. It's a waste of time. They have too good of a roster to be having this bullshit. Honestly, no one's telling me, yo, bro, you got to tune in and watch the Learning Tree segment. Last week's was so great. They're like, this week's is going to be even better. The little bit of a bubbly thing was like the highest that he was getting. Also like the Jericho Appreciation Society, that was a little bit of a rip on like Vince and shit, but like, come on, brother. Come on. Like, I don't know like why Jericho needed to have a spot in All In. Like, why? He's probably going to have a spot in All Out. I don't understand. I think that's why people get upset. Because they know. Like, that's why people got upset with WWE back in the day. All this talent that WWE got from the indies, in the black and gold NXT days, all everyone thought was like, man, this is it, man. They have the roster. And they were just wasting them on stupid shit. You know, AEW is doing like the same fucking thing. Both companies do it in a way. You know? Both companies do it in a way. They just do it a little bit differently because their presentation and the fans that they cater to are just not the same. Sure, they might cross over a little bit, but like for the most part, it's not the same. You know what I mean? MJF came out. He talked about his match at All In with Ospreay, about him losing. It's definitely going to be Daniel Garcia versus MJF at All Out. You got to give Garcia the win, man. Honestly, they have to do something with this young talent. You know, like MJF is already over as a talent. Like he could lose, and it's not a big deal. You could definitely have MJF. You could definitely do a storyline where MJF loses like a whole series of matches, and he's wondering what's going on. He puts over a whole bunch of guys. He leaves television for a couple of months. He comes back, goes on a tear, and wins another title. You could totally do that. MJF is a big enough star that you could totally do that for him. You know what I mean? Any single time MJF is on the television, people watch and listen, regardless if he's won or lost. So, they should put over Daniel Garcia big time. Daniel Garcia, they should build him up. Eventually, Daniel Garcia should go for a title. Call me crazy, but it would be awesome if Daniel Garcia actually beat Will Ospreay for that title. Because remember, Ospreay was just like, hey, I'm gonna give you like a title shot, and like, you know, we're gonna have when you and me are gonna wrestle. So Daniel Garcia could be like, hey, bro, like we talked about this, and you said you're gonna give me a title shot. Like, what's the difference between now and then? You know what I mean? So that could definitely happen. Honestly, Daniel Garcia beats MJF, and then that puts him on a road for Ospreay, and maybe it's him versus Ospreay at like Full Gear or World's End. I mean, if you want to have Ospreay have like a really good title reign, then yeah. Now, the crazy thing is that you could definitely make a case that the last match that Danielson has in AEW is against Ospreay, the guy who freaking beat him and almost ended his career. You know, you could do it as a heel Ospreay or as a face Ospreay, but like that, you know, like Ospreay could definitely have plenty of matches when he doesn't have a belt. I mean, they brought in Ricochet. Like, there's plenty of talent for him to be constantly fed and you know, like entertain the crowd. But, you know, so, like, I don't mind him losing the belt at any point in time as long as he loses it to the right person, because I feel like he's going to be, Ospreay's always going to be booked okay. He's going to be, right now, they're booking him to be a main guy surrounding their future. Guys like him, Swerve, when Jay White comes back, Jay White, like, they are definitely, you know, guys like MJF, Daniel Garcia, Darby Allin. These are guys that they are pushing. These are guys that are going to be the flag bearers for this company in the years going forward. Definitely. They had the All-Star 8-man tag, Hook, Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, Mark Briscoe, defeat Jericho, Big Bill, Brian Keith, and Roderick Strong, whatever. Sorry, guys, but whatever. Mariah May had a women's championship celebration. She hinted online that it was going to be like the Edge and Lita sex celebration. No, gentlemen, we did not fucking get that, unfortunately. She came out, she took off her robe, she was wearing a sexy negligee, and she dipped. So there you go. Grizzled Young Veterans said that they're going after everybody. They're going after the Young Bucks, they're going after FTR, like they want the tag titles. So like that's what they're going for. Great. Grizzled Young Veterans rule. I want them to have good tag matches. Let's make tag team wrestling like important. You know what I mean? Ricochet fought Kyle Fletcher. It was like good. It was a good first showing for Ricochet. There's not much that he could do that we haven't seen already. I think when they finally book him for a big marquee match is when he's really going to shine, but you can't go wrong. I mean, like, there's so many people for Ricochet to have good matches with, honestly. As long as we don't, like, hey, I'm telling you guys this right now. If you end up seeing Ricochet on Dynamite, on Rampage or Collision, watch out. Because at that point, I'm like, oh shit, they don't have anything for him now. Let's see. Oh, Moxley was asked what he meant earlier. He attacks a couple of people backstage. Marina Shafir shows up, and apparently, like, whatever Mox is doing, it involves Marina Shafir. Danielson addresses his future. He says he thought he was going to retire, but not yet. He's going to hold on to this belt, and his full-time career will not end until he drops this belt. So there you go, people. He said it. When Bryan Danielson drops the AEW title, his full-time career is over, and we're going to see him. I honestly think he's going to come back when, like, to have dream matches. He's going to come back when Omega's healthy. He's going to come back and fight all these awesome people whenever he wants. He's going to live the dream. He's going to live the fucking dream. He put out a challenge to all comers, and he got attacked by Jack Perry. So Jack Perry and Danielson for the AEW World Title. What did I say earlier in the podcast about having like two champions fight each other? I'm like, come on. And then like Jack Perry, it could have been anybody. You know who I would have fucking accepted? Like Orange Cassidy, you know? Orange Cassidy is a guy that like if he walked out, the crowd would have gone nuts because they know Orange Cassidy could go. Bryan Danielson could go. We know Orange Cassidy is going to lose, but they're going to put on a great match. That's what would have happened, guys. That's exactly what would have happened. You know? So, like, why are we getting Jack Perry? Unless it's going to play into some story with the Elite. I was just disappointed, man. I was just really disappointed. We're going to call the wrap for the podcast. I went like a half hour longer than what I wanted to. Let's look at the chats. VSS. Oh, yeah, Zachary Wentz. Yes, you're right. Was the first NIL athlete to become something. Yeah, that's actually pretty cool because I know that people. I was very skeptical about the NIL athletes. But if that's Oba, fantastic. Yes, they're going on to the CW. All right, he still thinks that NXT feels like 2.0. I mean, as long as they're in Full Sail and the way that they changed it, like it doesn't look like NXT Black and Gold. It looks like what they changed it to when they made it 2.0. I think it'll be better off traveling, honestly. I think it's going to be more palatable. I think it's going to bring in more viewers. I think it's going to make the product better. John says Raw's been solid. You're right. You're right, John. Raw has been solid since, I would say since after Mania. Definitely. This is the longest streak of great Raws that I've seen in a really, really long, long time. Who is this? Brother BKL, a.k.a. Sports Entertainment Guy, says, shout out to everyone in the chat, including Smells Like Wrasslin. Keep up the good work on the channel. Appreciated. Shout out from the South Bronx. Hey! Appreciate that, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining in. And from the South Bronx, all right. Actually, grew up in Throgs Neck, so I'm also a Bronx boy. Don't know how I came out of the Bronx a Mets fan and not a Yankees fan, but, you know, nobody's perfect, right? But yeah, hey, thank you for finding the channel, and I hope you enjoyed the stream tonight. Thank you so much. All right, guys, so we're gonna call it a wrap. I might be on tomorrow after Dynamite. I'm not really sure. I might be doing something. I'm not 100% sure. Thursday is the beginning of the NFL season, so I won't be on. I'll be watching the Kansas City Chiefs game. Let me know this is not a sports podcast. It's purely pro wrestling, but you're gonna see me wear like 1,000 different jerseys every single time I'm on, but because I like them. Friday night maybe after SmackDown. Saturday is All Out, so no, because I'm gonna be with my boys. So I'm hoping Friday. Please follow me on Twitter. For those new people in the chat, it's Wrasslin LI. That's WRASSLIN as in Nancy LI. That's me on Twitter. You'll see me post wrestling stuff and probably stuff about Arsenal and the Mets. So, and the Knicks. And probably when the football season starts, the Jets also. So my Twitter is definitely a mix of everything, but it is where you're going to hear directly from me in between recordings and throughout the week. So check me out on there. I have an Instagram. There's nothing on it, so I don't promote it. Once I have something to put on there, then obviously I'll share that with you guys. So that's pretty much it for the show for tonight.